Okay, boys and girls, Mrs. Pelletier for our fourth animal tale story. And this one is called The Three Bears. And this is also by Paul Galdone. And I think he also wrote The Little Red Hen that we had read. But this time he writes about the three bears. Have you heard the story of the three bears? Again, think about the version that you've heard about. These three bears live together. Remember, they go for a walk and Goldilocks sees their house and something happens. I want you to be thinking about the lesson in this story. This is an important one. And if you look here on the title page, they put a tree here and a sign to the house. The Three Bears, and there's Paul Galdone wrote it. This one also starts, once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. Okay. Do you think there are three bears that really live in a house in the woods? No. It's an animal tale. This didn't really happen. One of them was a little wee bear. Look at how tiny the print is. One was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great big bear. See how the author, Paul Galdone, is very clever. He put the size of the print to match the size of the bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge. Porridge is kind of like oatmeal that you'd eat for breakfast. The little wee bear had a little wee bowl. The medium-sized bear had a middle-sized bowl, and the great big bear had a great big bowl. So that's for the baby bear, mama bear, and the papa bear. But in this book, they call it the middle-sized, the little wee bear, the middle-sized bear, and the great big bear. Some stories, they call it mama bear, papa bear, and baby bear. They each had a chair to sit in. The little wee bear had a little wee chair, the middle-sized bear had a middle-sized chair, and the great big bear had a great big chair. And they're reading. And they each had a bed to sleep in. The little wee bear had a little wee bed, the middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bed, and the great big bear had a great big bed. One morning, the three bears made porridge for breakfast and poured it into their bowls, but it was too hot to eat. So they decided to go for a walk in the woods until it cooled. So, do you see this? You can see some lines coming out of the porridge, and that shows that it's hot. Okay, another way to show that heat is coming out of something is to use these squiggly lines. While the three bears were walking, what do you think is going to happen after they go on their walk? Think to yourself, oh, a little girl named Goldilocks came to the house. So there's Goldilocks, and look, she's missing a front tooth. So we know she's probably about maybe 6 or 7. First she looked in at the window, and then she peeked through the keyhole. Of course there was nobody inside. Goldilocks turned the handle of the door. Nobody's inside, and she just went in. Now think about that. Do you think that that's the right thing to do? House doesn't belong to her. The door was not locked because the three bears were trusting bears. They did no harm, they did no one any harm, and they never thought anyone would harm them. Okay, so if they're trusting bears, let's think about what that means. They said they've never done any harm to anybody, nobody's done any harm to them. So if you trust somebody, that means you care, you don't think that they're going to do any harm to you. So they didn't lock the door. They were trusting. They thought, nobody's going to hurt our things. But let's see what happens. So Goldilocks opened the door and she went right in. There was the porridge on the table. It smelled very, very good. Goldilocks didn't stop to think whose porridge it was. She went straight to it. So she's looking at that porridge. What do you think is going to happen? First, she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, but it was too hot. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but it was too cold. And then she tasted the porridge of the little wee bear, and it was neither too cold or no, it was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she ate it all up. And then Goldilocks went into the parlor to see what else she could find. So she ate it all up. Do you think that she's doing the right thing? She didn't make the porridge. Is the porridge hers? It's not really a very good choice, is it? There were 3 chairs. First she sat down in the chair of the great big bear, but it was too hard. Then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft. And then she sat down in the chair of the little wee bear. It was neither too hard, not too soft, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she rocked and rocked. The bottom of the chair fell out. Down she went plump onto the floor. Goldilocks went into the bedroom where the 3 bears slept. Ugh. Now, I mean, this is really bad. She messes up all that stuff, but then she breaks the baby bear's chair. Not very kind. First, she lay down upon the bed of the great big bear, but it was too high at the head for her. So see? Then she lay down upon the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot for her. So the foot of the bed is usually the end of the bed, but look at, it's up high from the middle-sized bear. Then she lay down upon the bed of the little wee bear. What do you think is going to happen? It was neither too high at the head, nor too high at the foot, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she covered herself up and fell asleep. So see, this one's too high at the head of the bed. The head of the bed is the front of the bed, and then the foot of the bed is over here. But this one's just right, so she's in the bed. What do you think is going to happen? She's probably falling asleep. By this time, the 3 bears thought their porridge would be cool enough, so they came home for breakfast. Uh-oh. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great big bear in the porridge bowl. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Look at the large letters that Paul Galdone used. And look at his face. He's really upset. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the middle-sized bear in her bowl too. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Uh-oh. Then the little wee bear looked at his bowl. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge and has eaten it all up," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. The 3 bears went into the parlor. And again, look at how tiny the print is. Sometimes we call the print the font. Goldilocks had left the cushions crooked in the chair of the great big bear. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had squashed down the cushion in the chair of the middle-sized bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked at his chair. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair and has sat right through it," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. The 3 bears went into the bedroom. How do you think the little bear's feeling? The little wee bear has no porridge. Now his chair is broken. Oh my goodness. I think they're all feeling pretty awful. Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great big bear out of place. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said the great big bear in his great big voice. See, they noticed that things were not the way they left it. Goldilocks had pulled the blanket of the middle-sized bear out of place, so it wasn't exactly where it was when she left. So now the middle-sized bear says, "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. They noticed somebody's been in their bed. And then the little wee bear looked at his bed. "Somebody's been lying in my bed, and here she is," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. Now look at Goldilocks. She's got one eye open, one eye closed. What do you think she's going to do? This woke Goldilocks up at once. There were 3 bears all staring at her. Look at how they're staring at her. Their eyes are right at her, looking right at her. When you stare at something, you look at something for a long time. Let's see, what do you think she's going to do? Predict in your head what you think is going to happen next. Goldilocks was so frightened that she tumbled out of bed and ran to the open window. Out she jumped, and she ran away as fast as she could, never looking behind her. Take these off. No one knows what happened to Goldilocks after that. As for the 3 bears, they never saw her again. How is this story similar to the one that you've read before? Sometimes they make it a little different, like the names are a little different in this one. But again, did you notice the 3s? 3 bears. They repeated what they were saying. Somebody's been sitting in my chair. Somebody's been eating my porridge. Somebody's been sleeping in my bed. Okay. What do you think the lesson was in this story? Think about it. That Goldilocks trespassed. She went into the 3 bears' property. They weren't home. They trusted. They left the door unlocked. And she went in and she took things of theirs. She broke the chair. She ate the porridge. So the lesson here, I'm going to put it right here. It is important to respect other people's things. That really is the lesson. It's not nice to trespass and do things like that. So, boys and girls, today at home, if you want to do a fun activity, again with some speech bubbles, you could draw the baby bear. And this is pretty easy because all you have to do is draw circles, lots of circles, and a couple of ovals. Well, not really ovals, are arcs. Remember, arcs are kind of like half circles or an upside down smile. So you can draw the baby bear, the mama bear, and the papa bear, or the little wee bear, the medium-sized bear, and the big bear, large bear. And you can think about what would they say about Goldilocks. And you could write some of the things that you think they would say about her. So I was thinking, write some down now. And I was thinking maybe the baby bear might say, Goldilocks is not a nice girl. She really didn't make very nice choices, did she? And then the papa bear could say, Goldilocks broke into our house. And then the mama bear might say, Goldilocks made some bad choices. Okay, so you could do that, and again, you could put them on popsicle sticks, or you could make these out of paper bags and make them into puppets.